I woke up in my mother's body that morning, staring at the ceiling of her McMansion bedroom in suburban Atlanta. The kind of place that screams, "I've made it," with its vaulted ceilings and marble floors. But all I could feel was the itch of her silk pajamas against skin that wasn't mine, and the pounding headache of a hangover I didn't earn. My real body, Brielle's body, the one I'd slaved in for 28 years, was probably slumped over the steering wheel of my beat-up Honda in the parking lot of that shady clinic in Buckhead. The one with the flickering neon sign promising life-changing therapies for desperate suckers like me. And the worst part? As I sat up, glancing at the vanity mirror where Mom's Botox-smooth face stared back, blue eyes wide with my own panic, I realized the swap wasn't some cosmic joke. It was her final, twisted fuck you, engineered with the help of that quack doctor she'd been screwing behind Dad's back. That's when I found the cruise itinerary tucked under her pillow. Printed on thick stock paper with gold embossing, 10 days of Mediterranean bliss starting next week. Complete with spa treatments, private balconies overlooking Santorini sunsets, and a fat deposit already charged to my credit card, the one I'd maxed out paying her medical bills. She'd been faking the cancer for months, bleeding me dry with sob stories and hospital visits that were just her joyrides on high seas, while I scraped by on barista wages and student loans that would bury me alive. Betrayal? It hit like a gut punch from God himself. But in her skin, I could taste the revenge bubbling up, sweet and metallic, like the first sip of bourbon after a bar fight. I didn't call the cops. I didn't even wake Dad, snoring like a freight train in the guest room because the chemo makes her restless. No. I slipped into her walk-in closet, the one stuffed with labels I could never afford: Gucci, Chanel, the works, and picked out the slinkiest red dress she owned, the one she'd worn to her support group galas that were really just mixers for rich widows and their pool boys. By noon, I'd liquidated half her jewelry on a discreet app, wired the cash to an offshore account I'd set up in 10 minutes flat using her laptop, password, Princess Brielle 87, because irony is a bitch, and booked a one-way flight to Rome under her name. Mom, real mom, trapped in my exhausted, coffee-stained shell, would wake up to eviction notices and debt collectors, while I sailed off in her stolen life, ready to burn it all down from the inside. The clinic in Buckhead had looked legit enough on Yelp, 4 stars. Reviews gushing about miracle resets and second chances at youth, but I'd only gone because Mom had begged me, her voice cracking over the phone like fine china about to shatter. Brielle, baby, it's experimental, but Dr. Harlan says it could shrink the tumors. Just one session, and I'll fight this thing. That was 6 months ago, back when her diagnosis had upended everything. Dad selling his vintage Mustang to cover copays, me dropping my night classes at Georgia State to pick up double shifts at the coffee shop, and her endless parade of specialists who all billed through my insurance because hers had lapsed during her battle. I remember the session vividly. Even now, layered under this foreign layer of 52-year-old collagen and concealer. Dr. Harlan, tall, silver fox handsome in that predatory Wall Street way, with a Harvard MD and a side hustle in biohacking, had me lie on the cold leather table while he droned on about neural mapping and synaptic bridges. It's like a deep meditation, Brielle, he'd said, his gloved hand lingering too long on my arm. You'll feel a surge, then peace. Your mother's already done hers. It's sinking your essences. Easing her burden. Sinking essences. What a load of horseshit. It was a black market body swap, cooked up in some underground lab funded by bored billionaires chasing eternal youth. And Mom had signed us up without a second thought. The surge came like lightning through my veins, white hot. Then nothing. I blacked out for what felt like seconds, but when I came to in recovery, she was already gone. Discharged early with a wink from the doc. She's a fighter, he'd murmured, slipping me a bill for $8,000 that I paid with tears and my emergency fund. Little did I know, that was just the appetizer. Over the next months, the bills piled up, MRIs that never happened, $12,000. Experimental drugs shipped from Switzerland, $15,000. Even a holistic retreat in the Smokies that was code for her weekend with Harlan at a ski chalet. I footed every dime, remortgaging my tiny apartment in Midtown, calling in favors from high school buddies who'd gone corporate, all while she texted me updates. Feeling stronger today. Thanks to you, kiddo. Love you forever. Forever. Yeah, right. Waking up in her body flipped the script harder than a bad acid trip. Her reflection in the mirror wasn't just older, it was armored, flawless makeup hiding the faint lines of too many martinis. Hair extensions cascading like a shampoo commercial. Nails manicured to lethal points. I probed her memories like flipping through a stolen diary. Fragments bleeding through the neural fog. Lazy afternoons poolside with Harlan. Not in a hospital gown, but a bikini. Sipping rose while he mapped out their next investment. The cruise? That was their victory lap. Booked after she'd convinced me the cancer was in remission. Just in time to extract one last gift from my savings for incidentals. $48,000 total. Drained from my accounts via apps she'd installed on my phone during one of her visits. She'd played me like a fiddle. Her own daughter. Because I was the soft touch. The one who'd always cleaned up her messes, from Dad's affairs to my brother's juvie stint. I didn't rage right away. Rage is for amateurs. Instead, I methodically dismantled her digital life. Her phone unlocked with my birthday. Because sentimentality is the chink in every villain's armor, revealed the texts, "Can't wait for the med. Darling." Brielle's, none the wiser. That last transfer? Pure genius. Harlan, you're a vixen. We'll toast to her generosity in Positano. Vixen. My stomach twisted, but I screenshotted everything, uploaded to a burner cloud, then deleted the evidence. Dad's phone next, bless his oblivious heart. Still set to factory defaults. His messages were all concern. How's the pain today? Hun. No replies. Just read receipts gathering dust. By evening, I'd forged a note in her looping script. Darling, the treatment worked wonders. Off to surprise you with a getaway. Be good for Daddy. Love, Mom. I left it on the kitchen island next to a bottle of her favorite Pinot. Then drove her Tesla, smooth as sin. Autopilot humming like a lullaby, to Hartsfield Jackson. The airport was a zoo. Holiday travelers in ugly sweaters jostling for Starbucks. But in Mom's designer trench and oversized sunglasses, I glided through security like royalty. No pat-downs for the privileged, just a nod from the TSA agent who probably thought I was some real housewife dodging paparazzi. On the flight to Rome, business class. Naturally. Because economy is for peasants, I nursed a gin and tonic and plotted. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a slow poison. Dropped one drop at a time. First drop, the money. I'd already rerouted her direct deposits from the consulting gig she ran out of the home office, really just a front for Harlan's Ponzi scheme targeting cancer widows, to my offshore haven. Second, the truth. Anonymous tips to Dad. Her bridge club. Even the local news tip line about questionable medical claims. But the big one? The cruise. I'd cancel it publicly. Charge it to Harlan's card linked in her wallet. Then rebook solo me. In her skin. Sipping Bellinis in the shadow of the Colosseum while she unraveled back home. Touchdown in Fiumicino felt like stepping into a fever dream. The air was thick with espresso and exhaust. Taxis honking like impatient lovers. I hailed one to the Hassler Hotel on the Spanish Steps, mom style. All 5-star excess, and checked in with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The clerk cooed over Senora Ellis, handing over a keycard etched with gold. In the suite, overlooking rooftops kissed by sunset, I stripped down and faced the full-length mirror. Her body, toned from Pilates, tanned from those treatments, was a stranger's canvas, but mine to wield. I traced the faint scar on her hip from a long-ago C-section, mine, technically, and whispered, "This is for the lies, Mom." Every goddamn one. That night, I dined alone at the hotel's rooftop, Imago, where waiters in crisp whites served plates of burrata and veal Milanese like offerings to the gods. The city thrummed below, Vespa engines growling, laughter spilling from trattorias, and for the first time in years, I felt untethered, powerful. A text buzzed. "Dad. Your mom left a note? Everything okay?" I typed back as her. "All good. Just needed air. Kiss the dogs for me." Lie upon lie. But whose turn now? Little did I know. The swap had glitches. Flashes of her life intruded, memories of Dad's proposal in Central Park. My birth in a storm-lashed Emory hospital. The day she caught him with his secretary and chose denial over divorce. Buried deep. The real secret. The one that made her fake the illness. Not just greed, but fear. Harlan wasn't her lover. He was her ticket out. A way to vanish with a new identity while the feds closed in on her embezzlement from the family's old firm. I'd borne the blame for that too, forged signatures in my name on the audits. A mistake she'd pinned on me to keep her hands clean. The cancer? A smokescreen to siphon funds, without suspicion. I pushed it down, focusing on the plan. Tomorrow, the Vatican, then a private tour of the catacombs. Underground bones for underground truths. But as I slipped into Egyptian cotton sheets, the neural bridge hummed, and I dreamed in her voice. "Brielle, forgive me. It's bigger than you know." Italy unfolded like a Renaissance painting come alive, golden light slanting over cobblestones. The scent of fresh basil mingling with diesel fumes. Every corner hiding a gelateria or a crumbling fountain where lovers tossed coins for wishes I'd long since abandoned. In Mom's body, I moved through it all with an ease that bordered on arrogance, heads turned as I strolled the Borghese Gardens. Her Louboutins clicking like castanets, drawing whistles from construction workers on scaffolding. It was intoxicating. This borrowed privilege, the concierge at the Hassler arranging a chauffeured Alfa Romeo to Pompeii. No questions asked. While back home, my real self juggled overdraft alerts and eviction fears. 3 days in, and the cracks were showing. The swap's aftereffects hit like jet lag from hell, migraines that blurred the Trevi fountain into a watery haze. Phantom itches where my tattoos should be, a discreet sleeve of ink from my rebellious phase. Hidden under barista aprons. Worse were the intrusions, her habits bleeding into mine. I'd catch myself reaching for a cigarette. She smoked menthols in secret. Or humming show tunes from her Broadway phase. The ones Dad hated. And the memories, sharper now, like shards of stained glass. One hit me hard in the Sistine Chapel, amid the throng of tourists craning necks at Michelangelo's ceiling. She, had stood there once, pregnant with me, whispering promises to a god she'd abandoned by my baptism. Harlan's face flickered in, slick grin. Hands that knew every curve of her betrayal. Their affair started innocently enough, or so the neural echoes claimed, a consultation after Dad's firm collapsed in the '08 crash. her dipping into petty cash to save them. Harlan offered absolution. Launder it through his clinics. Swap essences with marks to extract more. Mom as the spider. Me as the fly. The $48,000? Chump change compared to the millions she'd funneled offshore. Using my social security number as the mule. I'd gambled my future on her illness, calling off my wedding to Jake, the stable accountant who saw through her tears. Tanking my credit for loans that bought her freedom. All while she cruised the Caribbean last winter. Posting filtered selfies from St. Bart's with captions like, "Grateful for small mercies, Cancer Warrior." Revenge crystallized that afternoon in a shadowed cafe off Via del Corso. Nursing an espresso strong as regret. I'd hacked her email from the hotel Wi-Fi, easy with her passwords recycled from our childhood address book, and fired off the first salvo, forwards to Dad. The IRS whistleblower line. Even Harlan's board of directors. Attachments, bank statements, cruise confirmations. The clinic's consent forms with her forged signature on my line. "Darling," I wrote to him from her account. "The jig's up. Enjoy the fallout." Then, the controversial call. I didn't stop at exposure. I wired a chunk of her pilfered funds, $20K, to a women's shelter in Atlanta, earmarked for single moms fighting invisible illnesses. Poetic, right? Steal from the thief. Give to the stolen from. But was it justice or just me lashing out? Painting myself the hero in a story where I'd enabled her for years? Dad's reply came at midnight. As I wandered the floodlit pantheon. "Brielle? What the hell is this? Your mother's accounts." "It's everywhere." Police at the door. My heart, her heart, clenched. I pictured him, paunchy and graying in his lazy boy. The man who'd built a life on blind faith. Now collateral in our war. Guilt gnawed. But I shoved it down with a limoncello shot at a nearby enoteca. This was the cost of her sins. Not mine. Or was it? The memories whispered otherwise, her sacrificing college tuition for my braces. Working doubles at the diner post-divorce scare. Had I romanticized the monster? The cruise loomed, rebooked for me solo. Departing Civitavecchia in 2 days. I'd sail it as her. Toasting sunsets over Capri while forwarding the chaos stateside. But first, a detour to Positano. Harlan's promised paradise. I rented a convertible Fiat, top down, winding the Amalfi Coast like a yellow brick road to hell. The cliffs plunged into turquoise seas. Villas perched like jealous eyes. And for a moment, I let the wind whip away the tension. Radio blared Springsteen, Born to Run, and I sang along in her alto, voice cracking on the chorus. American grit and Italian splendor. That's us. Always chasing horizons we can't afford. Positano hit like a postcard overdose. Pastel houses tumbling to the beach. Lemon groves heavy with fruit. Yachts bobbing like fat cats. I checked into Luz Sirenuse, the hotel from her emails, Ocean View Suite. Infinity pool overlooking infinity. The staff knew Signora Ellis by reputation. Champagne arrived unbidden. With a note, "Benvenuta di nuovo." Again? So she'd been here before. Mid-chemo, romping with Harlan in these sheets. Rage boiled over. I smashed the flute against the balcony rail, shards glittering like fallen stars, then called the front desk for a boat tour. The Grotto of the Virgin, I specified, the hidden cave where lovers swore eternal secrets. Out on the water, skipper in a captain's hat regaling me with myths. I stripped to her bikini size 4, naturally, and dove into the emerald depths. The cold shocked the system, washing away the grime of swapped souls. Underwater, echoes amplified, her laughter with Harlan in this very bay, plotting my downfall over prosciutto and prosecco. Surfacing, gasping, I made the decision that would haunt me, the one that tipped from revenge to ruin. I texted Harlan from her phone. Meet me in Positano. Room 212. We need to talk. Bait taken. He bit within minutes. My vixen. En route from Naples. Can't wait. He arrived at dusk. Tanned and tailored. Reeking of cologne and confidence. Eleanor, he purred, using her name like a caress, pulling me into an embrace I endured with steel in my veins. Over room service tiramisu. I played the part, flirty glances, leg brushes under the table, drawing out confessions. The girl's money was easy pickings, he admitted, wine loosening his tongue. Eleanor's touch with the forms. Brilliant. And the swap keeps us ghosts in the machine. Us. Plural. He'd been in on the embezzlement from day one, using the clinics to launder her to seduce Marks. My Mark. The controversial pivot. I didn't kill him. No. Too clean. Too merciful. Instead, as he dozed post-coitus, faked on my end, every moan a grenade. I laced his scotch with the clinic's synaptic enhancer, a vial swiped from her purse, meant for bridging minds but potent enough to scramble them. He convulsed at dawn, eyes rolling, babbling code words from their schemes. I filmed it all, uploaded anonymously to the SEC's fraud hotline, then slipped out as ambulances wailed up the cliffside road. Mercy or monstrosity, leaving him alive to rot in a psych ward. Identity shattered. That's the American way, isn't it? Sue for damages later, but destroy quietly now. Back on the road to Civitavecchia, the coast blurred into twilight, and doubt crept in. Dad's voicemails stacked. Brielle, where are you? Your mother's. Gone. Cops say identity theft. Gone. The word echoed. Had she in my body fled? Or worse, boarding the cruise ship in Civitavecchia was like stepping onto a floating Vegas, glittering decks stacked like a wedding cake. Elevators pinging with the cheer of tipsy retirees. The air conditioned to that perfect chill that makes you forget the world outside. As Eleanor Ellis, I swept aboard with a Louis Vuitton weekender, flashing the platinum card that still hummed with stolen credit. The steward, a lanky kid from Manila with a name tag reading Rico, escorted me to my veranda suite on deck 10, cooing over the unobstructed views of the Tyrrhenian Sea. Bellissima. Signora. Like a movie star. Movie star. If only he knew the plot twist. From the balcony, I watched the line snake with passengers, Midwestern couples in matching visors, influencers live-streaming their Euro glow-ups, a bachelorette party shrieking over Prosecco flutes. No sign of Mom and me, but the neural hum suggested she was close, flashes of my apartment's peeling wallpaper, the coffee shop's hiss of steam wands. Was she unraveling my life as I dismantled hers? The thought fueled the fire. I unpacked methodically, her wardrobe a capsule of seduction, sundresses, caftans, heels that could double as weapons. My additions a burner phone and a thumb drive of evidence. First night at sea, the captain's welcome gala. Crystal chandeliers dripped light over the grand dining room. Waiters in cummerbunds ferrying trays of caviar and crab legs. I turned heads in her emerald gown, off the shoulder, clinging like a second skin, perching at the bar with a Negroni, scanning for allies or threats. Enter Victor Langford, silver-haired shipping magnate from Houston, Texas drawl thick as molasses, eyes lingering on my cleavage like it held state secrets. Eleanor, right? Saw your name on the manifest. Harlan's girl? My blood iced.
How?
We talked, or rather, he monologued, over escargot and Bordeaux. Victor was old money, the kind that funds black ops and buys senators. And he'd crossed paths with Harlan at a Davos after-party. That doc's a snake oil salesman with a scalpel, he drawled, twirling his mustache. Heard whispers about your arrangement. Body swaps for the board elite. Pricey, but effective for vanishing acts. I probed gently, playing the wounded mistress. And he spilled. Harlan's network spanned continents, swapping souls for slush funds. Mom the star operative until greed cracked her facade. She targeted family first.
Smart.
No loose ends. Victor leaned in, breath hot with garlic. But you're sharper than she looks. What's your angle? My angle? Expose the rot. Starting with her. But Victor offered a shortcut. Access to his yacht in Mykonos. A private chat with a federal contact who'd love dirt on Harlan's donors. Controversial? Hell yes, trading one devil for another. Potentially sinking innocents in the crossfire. But as the ship rocked gently, stars wheeling overhead, I nodded.
Deal.
But I lead. Days blurred into a hedonistic haze, yoga on the Lido deck at sunrise, where I stretched her limber limbs to the instructor's chants, high tea in the observation lounge, eavesdropping on gossip about that Ellis woman, widow or gold digger, midnight buffets where I loaded plates with tiramisu, savoring calories she denied my real self. The memories assaulted harder at sea, no distractions but waves slapping the hull. One night, post-spa, a seaweed wrap that left me reeking of ocean floor. I relived the embezzlement's origin, Dad's firm hemorrhaging during the recession, Mom helping buy cooking books, then panicking when auditors circled. She'd framed me, fresh out of high school, interning there for the discrepancies, a juvenile slap on the wrist that derailed my scholarship. For your future, she'd cooed later, buying my silence with a used Corolla. I'd borne it all. The black mark on my record. The whispers at job interviews. No wonder Jake bailed. Who wants a girlfriend with ethics questions in her backstory? The ship docked in Santorini on day 4. Whitewashed cliffs glowing like bone under noon sun. I tendered ashore with Victor, his arm possessive around my waist, and we hiked to Oahe for the sunset Victor swore was God's own watercolor. Tourists clogged the paths, selfie sticks waving like white flags, but up top, in a cliffside taverna, he dropped the bomb. Eleanor's not just a grifter. She's a ghost. Turns out, the real Eleanor Ellis died in a car wreck 20 years ago, Mom's college roommate. Identity stolen post-graduation to dodge student loans. The body swaps? Harlan's tech revived echoes. But Mom had layered fakes on fakes. Her cancer, a ploy to swap permanently with me, vanishing clean while I rotted in her shell, pinned for her crimes. Shock rooted me to the Caldera View bench as the sun dipped, painting the sea molten. Victor's hand on my knee. Join me, darling. We expose her. Split the bounty.
Or.
The oar hung heavy. Join the game. Become the spider. I feigned a laugh, clinking glasses to new beginnings, but inside, the plan shifted. No more half measures. That night, back aboard, I cornered Rico in the crew quarters, bribed with $5,000 from the slush fund, and got the manifest, a last-minute booking under Brielle Harlan, cabin 714. Mom, in my skin, aboard and seething. Confrontation brewed like a storm over the Aegean. I waited in the shadows of Deck 7's promenade, See spray misting the air. Her. My footsteps echoing hesitant. She emerged rumpled. My favorite hoodie dwarfing her frame. Eyes hollowed by the swap's toll. Brielle, she hissed. Voice my own, but laced with her panic. We faced off under a lifeboat, the ship pitching like our unraveling lives. What have you done? Dad's arrested, embezzlement. They say it's you.
Me.
The twist uncoiled slow, in her frenzy. She'd confessed everything to the cops, pinning it on Brielle to save herself. But my evidence flipped it. You stole my life twice, I whispered. Her face inches from mine, flawed, freckled.
Young.
The money. The swap. Italy was your escape hatch. Tears streaked her cheeks, my cheeks. I did it for us. The firm would have tanked us all.
Lies. Still.
But the plea cracked something maternal in me. Or maybe it was the neural bridge fraying. Essences bleeding back. The decision. Controversial to the core. I could have pushed her overboard. Easy in the dark. A suicide for the grieving daughter. Instead, I dragged her to Victor's suite, forcing the alliance. Testify, I commanded. Phone recording. She balked. But the ship's satellite beamed the confession live to his contacts. Feds inbound at next port, Athens. As she broke, sobbing apologies for the stolen years. The faked love, I felt the swap reverse in pulses, skin tightening, memories realigning.
By dawn.
I was me again, slumped in my old jeans, while she reverted, aged and exposed. But Victor? He saw opportunity. The girl's got fire, he murmured. Eyeing me anew. Join or jail, that was his play. Athens dawned hazy. The Acropolis a jagged crown against smog-choked skies. As the ship nosed into Piraeus, like a whale beaching for judgment. I stood on the bridge wing, reel me now. Brielle in faded Levi's and a thrift store tee. The swap's residue of faint buzz behind my eyes, watching tenders ferry passengers to ancient glories they'd Instagram into oblivion.
Mom.
Reinstated in her crepey skin, paced our shared cabin like a caged panther. Makeup smeared from a night of recriminations. You ruined everything, she spat. But her fire had guttered. The Fed's chopper thwopped on the helipad at dawn. Harlan's goons already in cuffs from the Positano pickup. Ruined? From where I lounged on the veranda chaise, nursing black coffee strong as tar. It looked like reckoning. The $48,000 was peanuts now, repaid via Victor's wire, plus interest from Harlan's frozen assets. Dad was free. Charges dropped once her confession aired on CNN's Morning Crawl. Heiress's body swap scam exposed. Daughter's revenge sinks multi-million fraud. Soundbites of me. Pixelated for privacy. Decrying the betrayal. Public adored it. Swap and spill trending. Memes of me as the vengeful millennial avenger. But the debates raged. Was I hero or homewrecker? Enabler turned executioner? The comment sections boiled, feminists hailing the takedown of predatory men like Harlan. Conservatives clutching pearls over family implosion via tech hubris. Victor found me there. Cigar smoke curling like a summons. Brielle, he rumbled, settling into the wicker chair with the grace of a man who owned the teak it was made from. Offer stands. My firm's always scouting talent. Ethics be damned. His eyes appraised, the ink peeking from my sleeve, the steel in my stare. Join the elite. Launder my own legends. Or fade back to Atlanta's grind. The controversial crux. I'd already dipped a toe, funneling that shelter donation through his shell company for tax efficiency. One step from villainy. Mom burst out then, robe flapping like a surrender flag. Don't listen to him, baby. He's poison. Irony dripped sweeter than limoncello. She collapsed at my feet, grasping my knee, daughter's touch on mother's guilt. I was scared. After the crash,
The debts.
you were my reset button. The truth reversed in that plea. Not just greed, but desperation. Dad's gambling had gutted them pre-recession. She'd embezzled to save the house. The school fees. My dreams. Harlan seduced her into the swaps as easy outs, but the cancer charade? To buy time. To spare me the fall. I'd borne the audit blame willingly. Too young to question. Too loving to refuse. Was she monster or martyr? The neural echoes affirmed both. A tangle of motives no jury could untie. The chopper's downdraft rattled the glasses as agents swarmed the deck. Crisp suits. Badges flashing like bad karma. Mom rose. Chin high. The old steel returning. Tell your father I loved him. Always. Handcuffs clicked soft as a kiss. She didn't fight. Just glanced back with eyes that mirrored mine, blue. Bruised. Unbreakable. Victor watched. Amused. Your call.
Kid.
Walk with winners. Or weep with losers. I chose neither, at least, not fully. As the ship cast off for Istanbul, I texted Dad, coming home. We rebuild. Then, to Victor, one job. Expose the network. After, I'm out. His laugh barked over the line. Feisty. We'll see. The sea stretched endless. Minarets on the horizon like fingers beckoning. Revenge's aftertaste was ash, cathartic, but choking. I'd taken Italy, its sun-baked alleys, its whispered confessions, and left them behind, but fragments lingered. A cruise souvenir in my bag, a cameo of intertwined souls, half eroded. Months later, back in Atlanta's humid embrace, I finished my degree online criminal psych. Irony noted, while Dad sold the McMansion for a bungalow in Decatur. Dogs yapping at squirrels like nothing happened. Mom's trial made headlines. 20 years. No parole. Her testimony toppling Harlan's empire like dominoes. Victor? We torched 3 labs before I ghosted him. Vanishing to a fellowship in D.C., prosecutor's office. Chasing white-collar wolves. But nights, when the city's hum mimics waves, I wonder, did I avenge too much? Free her to fall, or chain us both? The ending? Yours to debate. Happy. In the wreckage rebuilt stronger? Tragic. In the souls we swapped and couldn't unsee?
Pour un Bourbon.
Reader, neat. Like Southern justice, and decide.
Me?
I'll chase sunsets on my own dime. No swaps required.